Monday, the 27th of January, 2024, and a reading from the Science of Mind magazine, The Daily Guides, courtesy of Rev Kelly. She's the writer. We're actually Creative Life Spiritual Center in Spring, Texas. We're on Spring Stuvner. There's David. I'm one of the ministers there. And if you're getting this on my Facebook page, well, then getting on my Facebook page. Let me see. Today's reading, they've all been interesting this month. Food for thought. Food for thought is always good, isn't it? First quote is from George Bernard Shaw, who says, "The possibilities are numerous once we decide to act and not react. The possibilities are numerous once we decide to act and react." And the title of this whole reading is Cultivate Your Inner Bamboo Tree. Cultivate your inner bamboo tree. So you're going to find out a little bit about bamboo if you didn't already know it. The second quote is from Ernest Holmes in Ideas for a Living. "We do believe that God is all there is, that God is right where we are and what we are." In other words, everything is the divine. There's one source for everything, and everything is it. A Chinese bamboo tree is stronger than steel, acts as an antibacterial, can be used as a deodorant, and can be eaten. Tending to this amazing tree requires patience and faith. You can kind of see where this is going, right? You have to take care of it and provide water and fertilizer. Even while you see nothing sprouting above ground, it's in development, growing solid roots so that it can survive as its future self. And while it doesn't break the ground for 5 years, once it does, it will grow 90 feet, roughly 30 meters, in 5 weeks. Sometimes our growth is similar to that of the Chinese bamboo tree, and it can be frustrating, the seemingly endless wait for change in your life. When you are on a healing path, a spiritual path, there will be changes that only you can see. Our spiritual journey is personal and it's unique. You're reading this magazine today, and the odds are you are on this spiritual journey. Here are a few tips for cultivating your version of the bamboo tree. And it's always good when a writer gives you tips. It's great when they come out with all these wonderful statements about what you should do, what you ought to do, etc. But they don't tell you how to do it. Well, she's giving you some tips here. How's that? Avoid comparing yourself with others. And don't listen to other people's comments and judgments. And I'm sure she's talking about negative comments here. Focus on your task at hand. What is it? It's your spiritual growth. This is uniquely individual and personal. Ask yourself, what do I believe? And of course, wait for the answer. And how do my beliefs demonstrate in my life? And again, wait for the answer. This individual process of knowing the divine often takes time, introspection, and questioning of beliefs. There is a depth to building faith. And it is something that only you know. Like the bamboo tree, your growth often happens when no one sees it. Suddenly, you will shoot up 90 feet in 5 weeks. It's a metaphor. People see the results, not the work that went into the results. And this is kind of true in every phase of life, because if you read a lot of people, most people, not 100%, but most people who've had success in any field, whether it's writing, acting, sports, whatever it is, will tell you that although they seem to burst on the scene apparently like in a real short space of time, and that they got all this success really suddenly, when you dig into their lives, as I'm sure most of you are aware, you'll find out it took a lot of effort. And in most cases, it took a long time. Not everybody, some people are, quote, lucky, unquote, and they just burst on the scene all of a sudden, and there they are, they're a success from ground one. But for most of us to succeed at anything, it requires a lot of patience. For instance, when I was learning to speak Dutch, it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen that one day I didn't know any Dutch. I went to a few lessons and then woof, I can speak Dutch. No, I had to practice it. When I was at school, like you, I remember I was pretty good at math, but when I came across new things, I had to practice them. When I came across new stuff in Latin and French, I had to practice it. So it's the same thing when we're building up our spiritual self, or if you want to say our mental self, if you prefer to look at it that way. So it takes time and it takes effort. And Reverend Kelly's given you a few ideas of what not to do here. Avoid comparing yourself with other people. Don't listen to any negative comments that come back and any judgments. But the other side is she doesn't mention it. Be prepared to accept feedback that is positive. Why? Because it helps us grow. That's been one of my hardest things in life is to accept critique, not criticism, because you shouldn't accept criticism. It's not the way to go about it. Critique is different. Critique is sometimes the same thing, but put in a completely different way. I remember once, quite a few years ago, at the Woodlands Toastmasters, we had a new member. She was brand new, and she gave her first speech. And let's face it, when we all give our first speech at Toastmasters, most of us anyway, unless we're public speakers to start with, you're nervous, you make mistakes, there's a lot of ums and ahs and so on. And that's to be expected. The evaluator, every time you give a speech at Toastmasters, you get an evaluation. And the evaluation is intended to encourage you and help you grow by what? By giving you some ideas of what you did that was good, by giving you some suggestions as to how you might improve in future, and then leaving you in a good place by telling you what was really good or what was really liked about your speech. Well, the evaluator didn't do that this time. She just tore this lady to shreds, and the lady was in tears. Some of us had to do damage control afterwards by going to this lady and saying, look, this isn't normal. You didn't do any worse than anybody else on their first speech. It's just that this evaluator is completely out of touch with what to do. Why? Because she was also new and she didn't know how to do an evaluator. So you could argue that the person really responsible for all this was the person who was coaching or mentoring the evaluator. So, but that's one way not to do it. And the other way not to do it is just to tell people, hey, I really love this. It was wonderful and all the rest. When there is room for improvement, both extremes are not good. But our job is to listen to the good critique and to be able to put at one side stuff that doesn't serve us, but to listen to the good stuff. So, hey, that's my practice for today. I say practice because it's a practice in the sense of a doctor or an engineer or an architect or anybody else, a professional person, actually carrying out a profession. Why practice? Because none of us get it right the first time, and every time we do stuff, there's always something that could be improved upon. And with that in mind, we, Creative Life Spiritual Center in general, and me, David Dewhurst in particular, would appreciate your comments on what you like or what you don't like about these readings, what you think would serve you better, and I will do my best to do that. For instance, I don't overuse the word God, God, because I know a lot of people are allergic to it and it means completely different things to different people. So quite often, whatever is in the reading, I will choose to change that somewhat, say spirit, divine, ground of all being, etc. But I will throw in the word God now and again because I personally don't have a problem with it. So, but if we can improve these readings or help you get more out of them, please let us know. There's lots of wherever you're watching this on my Facebook page, Creative My Spiritual Senses Facebook page, one of my business pages. You're watching it on LinkedIn. You're watching it on YouTube, and sometimes on Instagram. It's supposed to go there, but it doesn't always go there. So anyway, that's it for today. Reverend Elise will be here tomorrow in a completely different way at 9:15. By a completely different way, I mean she's reading from a different source and she has different comments than I do, obviously. So until next time, namaste.